we're going to go through each one of these step by step. So the first one is planning. So you start with defining goals, defining requirements, identify scope. And then the output for that is you come up with a project plan document. So that's usually done by the management plus product manager that would assist you in like defining these goals in proper terms and all that. And then you're going to pass on to the next step, which is to study those goals and then come up with, this is a very standard term, product requirement document. I'm sure all you guys have heard that in the software industry. It's called PRD. So you have a very standard set of documents saying, okay, these are the things that we want to do. These are the goals we want to achieve. These are the research that we've done. And these are the acceptance criteria for saying that this project is completed. And then this is like the master plan before you pass on over to the engineers and designers and all that to get to work, right? So according to IBM, there's also this step, which makes sense, is to turn the PRD, which is a little bit higher level without the technical part, to add a bit more technical things to it. Like, so you're going to define like a database structure, UI flow, user flow, UX, and all of that in this document. So this will, again, be another master document, not so much for the management, but more for the engineers and the testers and all that to work on. The next thing is coding. So the engineers will then code, basically implement what the plan is. It may not be like one shot going through all the way, so it could be like iterations and all that. But you implement it, and then the output will be a function of software prototype. And the next thing you do, testing. Could be tested by the engineers, could be tested by product managers, could be tested by specialized software tester. Basically to eliminate bugs, check out for code review, check out for code smells, security, and all that. And then deployment, usually done by DevOps engineers. So you write DevOps scripts, basically just deploy your stuff to the servers. And then maintenance, fixes and improvements over time and all that. In reality, we're doing, I think it's been like probably like 15 years now of Agile. So in reality, we're doing more of an Agile software development lifecycle. So this is the part where we kind of like split it out into multiple, we call it sprints. Sprints in a software company are usually 2 weeks, right? So every start of a sprint cycle, the lead will then plan out with the team, with the engineers and all that, with the implementers and all that, to say these are the scope for all of us to achieve within 2 weeks' time. And then you're going to do it, and at the end of it, we'll go through the testing. Either we approve, or if it's not approved, then you're going to have to fix it. There'll be some bugs and all that, so the sprint might extend, or shouldn't extend, I mean like bleed into the next sprint. But you kind of plan in like 2 week window. So some company does it in like a week, but general consensus is about 2 weeks time. So you don't waste too much on that planning, because like usually for sprint, you spend like the whole day on Monday planning, and then the last Friday going through all the reviews and all the retro. If you do it like a week, you're wasting like 2 days of that week, and then you only have 3 days in a week of really doing stuff. That's really unproductive, right? So in the real world scenario, like so. This is what really annoys me a lot when running a software team. When can we ship a simple order edit feature? Right? So you have a shopping, you have an e-commerce site, and you say, okay, our customer wants to be able to edit the shopping cart. So when can we ship that feature? So let's go through this step, right? So how much time do we need for planning? Oh, that's half a week. So we need to decide, what do you mean by editing shopping cart? Oh, the scenario is this user edits the cart, and they need to remove this here and all that. Realistically speaking, that's about half a week time. Analysis to turn that into PRD. How much longer do we need? Are we going to do some research? We're going to do this, we're going to do that. PRD is going to take 1 week. Anyone think that's absurd? I don't think so, but it's a real life situation. And then design to come up with the tech specs and all that, another week. The actual work being done, 2 weeks. I think that's slow, but considering how much time that was planned to start the engine, that's acceptable, I think. Testing, 1 week, I think that's, yeah. And then deployment at half a week. Realistically speaking, in real scenario, I'm sure all you guys can CRM coming from takes 6 weeks for you to add an edit shopping cart feature. That's absurd. Remember when we used to do, before all this like life cycle thing, you need to edit shopping cart. You talk to your lead engineer or talk to this hacker guy in your company and say, can you get it done? The guy will say, okay, I'm going to need 2 hours. Don't disturb me for 2 hours. I'm going to get it done in 2 hours. You got to sit down, code. Got to upload a PHP file live on the server. Sure, he tested live, sure. But then he was so good that he was sure that it's going to work. It's going to take 2 hours for that to happen, right? Now it's 6 weeks. It's insane. So now with AI, I'm sure we can do better with AI, right? Let's see how we can do better with AI. Before we get into the demo part, I use a lot of AI tools, especially in software engineering. Not so much on managing my life part because I still have that uncanny valley about having AI managing my life, like AI having calendar and having my Gmail and everything. I still have that uncomfortable feeling having AI doing all of that, right? And like for those of you in tech or in cybersecurity, I'm sure you can understand my feeling here. Like I get the dumbest TV that I could get. Like, I don't want any smart TVs. I want just a screen, a good screen. I don't want anything else. And I'm just glad that Apple is losing out on the AI war because I want my Apple device to be dumb. I don't want it to like see through everything that it has. I turn off AI on my phone. Sorry, that's I sidetrack a little bit. But I use a lot of AI in coding, in software engineering. So coding AI tiers, in my opinion, there are 3 tiers for AI, coding AI. So the first one, which I think all of us start with, is with like ChatGPT or with Google Gemini, the chat interface where you're going to ask it to implement something, and then it implements. It's really, really good. I wouldn't say it's bad. Like even for now, like when I wanted to clarify something, when I wanted to fix a certain file and all that, I just upload it and then just say, okay, can you fix this for me? And then it would just fix it for you. There, it can also link with your IDE, so you just like edit live in your IDE, right? So the tier 2 are your cursors and your Google Copilot. So while you code, you get the chat window at the side. You can say, do this, and you can ask questions, write me a TypeScript code, it can just code for you. It's great. But I think this is like the tier 3 is what really accelerates everything, in my opinion. Like it's CLI based, it's command line based. You don't get an interface or anything. You basically just tell it what to do. You get access to your file system, you get access to your project files, you get access to, you can read your like planning files, you get access to your GitHub, you get access to basically whatever that you give it access to. And it's great, right? So you can type anything here and it will just like work, you'll just get to work. And the cool thing about it is that it plans as well. So this example is I ask it to implement an authentication system, and then it came up with a plan first on what it would do, and I said, would you like to proceed, right? Once I say yes, then it was just gonna like plan out all these different steps, gonna go through them, you're gonna run through it, and you're gonna do a check, and then just all of that automatically. So this is and it's amazing. So today's talk is not specifically about Claude Code, but in my opinion, about testing various different solutions out there. I've used a lot of Claude Code, I use a lot of Codex. I think that Claude Code is like way ahead from the other competition today. It's not so much on the model itself, but on the agent part of the agentic part of it. It's really good. Yeah, so these are the other providers out there that it's similar, but I think Claude Code is like it's amazing for this. Yeah, so how much time do I have? Okay, I'm gonna try to do that. So for this, let's define the team members in a software development lifecycle, right? So we talked about the lifecycle just now. So let's put some roles and names to these teams. So planning and analysis usually done by product manager, and then the design usually software architect or lead software engineer. Coding, testing, deployment, these are kind of the roles. And these are your typical software team, right? In a product world, you might call it squad. I mean, those are just different thesaurus for team, basically. And in a agentic AI world, we're going to call this agents, right? So These are individual agent AI that will do the job for you in developing a software. All right, let's go to the fun part. Let's try to do a demo here. We're going to try to do some coding here. Before I get to that, if you're a software engineer today, how many of you are spending your time writing code? And how many of you are, how would you split your time between writing code and writing specs, right? I've seen some talks in the, especially in the Silicon Valley and some companies, a lot of them, the engineers these days, are spending close to zero time writing code. You're just basically doing a lot of context now. You're writing specs, you're reviewing plans, and then the implementers are basically the AI now. You're not like doing all that coding anymore yourself. Sure enough, with your experience, you can still review code, you can still see where the bugs are, if it like has issues in deployment and all that. You can kind of steer the AI to fix it, but there's like very little reason for you to code anymore today unless you're using some obscure language. Even for me, I was coding in Zig a few months ago, and it's doing really well. Like Cloud Code, like I don't think it even trained on Zig that much, but you feed it enough documentation, enough sample code, it could code really well. All right, let's start. So we're gonna go through some demos. I'm gonna like compress it a little bit. So we're gonna start with plan and analyze. Start with the idea, start with goal, start with scope, and then get the AI to generate a PRD. Right, so let's start with that. I'm gonna try to do here, hope it works. It's a big gamble. Mirror. Okay, you can see my screen. I'm gonna try to make it a little bit bigger. Can you guys see my screen here? All right, great. Okay, so I have this demo starter. If you see the tree, this is what it is. I'm just gonna use my regular. So this is the README file. Basically, this project has nothing except a very, very rough idea that I say I want to build a web-based leave management system for a small company. The product must be web-based, simple user authentication. In scope, I want it to be web-based. I want to just these, and I don't want it to like, we don't need admin panel for now. We don't need all this stuff. We don't need mobile app for now. We just want a web-based stuff. And I want it fast, right? I want it, just focus on MVP, minimal viable product. We need to launch it in 4 weeks. I know like in AI, there's no concept of time, but then AI, remember how AI is trained, right? It's trained on the corpus of text that human has. So when you give it like 4 weeks, it doesn't know what 4 weeks means, but it kind of knows 4 weeks, this is the scope of the 4 weeks project. If you say like, I need this in like 6 months, then it will say, okay, we'll plan it to be like 6 months kind of project in human term, right? So there's no concept of time in AI, but still good to give it some idea there. And other features can be added, right? So for this project, let's do not include any MVP specs. So let's start Claude. This is Claude on my, so this is on my directory. So this is all that I have. And this is the idea document here. So the first thing we're going to do is define agent. So we're going to define the product manager agent. So we're hiring a product manager. We don't have to go through AI. We don't have to go through like job report and all that. We're just going to hire an AI agent right now on the spot, right? So I'm just going to type agents. Let's see what agents I have. So I have no agents right now. I have no employees, no AI employees under my control right now. So I'm going to create a new AI agent. And we're just going to say generate with Claude. Basically just come up with the scope, right? When you want to hire someone, you go to HR, you want to hire the HR, so can you come up with the job scope for that? And this is the, let's try to copy this one. Okay, so this is the scope, right? So I would just copy and paste here. Basically saying you are a, let me just make it bigger here. Can I make this bigger? Okay, so you are a senior successful product manager, 15 years of experience. I mean, you want to like make it like kind of like set the role for this person, right? This agent, right? Help me ask the stakeholder the right questions step by step, define goals. Sure, my ideas are so rough right now, so you need to continue to ask further questions on before you can generate PRD, right? Because PRD it's quite specific on things that you want to do. So you want to ask you to do that, and then save it at docs./prd.md, right? So what tools is the agent going to have? I would say all tools. What model you want to use? If you have if you can use Opus from Claude, that's the most capable reasoning model. Color doesn't really matter. Let's go red. And this is the job scope that it kind of set. So I just save it, and that's done. So now I have, I'm just going to type agents again. You can see that I have now a product manager PRD agent under my company, my AI team, right? So the next thing I want to do is then I create a command. So there's no such thing as create a command. So you then create a command to say plan and analyze, right? So you tell the agent what to do. So I'm just going to say, in fact, there's a structure for you to tell Claude Code on how to create this command, but then you have AI. Why do you even need to type anymore? Like, you don't have to go through that syntax and all that. So I'm just going to get Claude Code to help me write this for me. So I turn on the plan mode, and then I just copy and paste this here. Wait, copied the wrong one. I wanted to define this one. So define Claude Code custom command plan analyze at. So they will then create the command and save it here. Should not be a slash. Yeah, okay, that's fine. To ask product manager. I can't. Yeah, it's okay. Yep. So I'm just going to ask you to create this command, right? So Claude Code will then go to work. If it's going to take too long, then I'm just going to skip to what I've already prepared. But let's try to see here. So you can see that it gets access to your bash, right? Basically your shell. So it will then see what's there. So you try to check my Claude directory. Is there any agent? Oh, yes, I found an agent here. And then try to read, is there any, try to check, is it documentation here? So now you try to read the documentation for Anthropic to say, how can we define custom command? So you then go on and fetch a document and then read it and then just do it for you. So you don't even have to do it anymore. Just going to let this run for a while. Let's see if we can see through this. Yep. Let's see. OK, so now we check docs directory exists. And yep, sure enough, it exists because I already have one idea file in there. Perfect. Now I have all the information I need. Let me present my plan. So then it tells me what to do. So the plan that he has is plan to create this custom command, put it in Claude commands, correct? That's exactly what I want. You'll be able to use. Once created, you'll be able to use this. Yeah, exactly what I want. Yes, auto accept, I did. And now it's going to go in code. And this is my code editor. Let me make it bigger. So now I don't even have the directory set up. So you can see it creates a directory here. mkdir, make directory, create the plan and analyze command file. And now okay, not yet. So it's still creating. But the directory is there. Okay, yep. So now this is the file that's going to create. Do you want to create? Yes, allow all edits. I don't even want to review anymore. I trust you, Claude. So go ahead and just do what you want. Yep, so now this file is created now. So yeah, perfect. I created this command. So what we have done so far is, one, we hired an AI agent, which is called Product Manager PRD. So this is the role. Basically, those are all the things that I typed, right? I didn't even define it that much. So these are all generated by AI. Start, and then use follow-up question, ask questions and all that, and then do all of that. That is the role that we hire. And then the next thing is we define the command for that person to work, right? So this is the plan and analyze command. So with that, let's try to trigger that command and see what it will come up with. So what the project documentation that we have so far is basically just this idea that we have. That's all, full stop. There's nothing else that we have. So it's going to ask plan and analyze and ask it to generate PRD at the end, right? So plan and analyze. So now it would run. Now it say, okay, you're going to trigger this product manager PRD agent to reveal the idea that you have. And then let's see if if the agent thinks that my idea is good enough, or it will ask more clarification question, right? So, yep. So now the agent is summoned. When you have this like background, it means the agent is summoned and it's working, and yeah, it's done. Took 12 seconds. In real human, that's probably like a day. Yep. So now it's done. When it's not ready to conduct conversation, the agent will. Okay, please proceed. Oh, you asked me questions already. I ignored him. The thing about AI is that it's non-deterministic. So every time you run, it's different. Yesterday when I tried this, I get a huge, like 20 questions that I have to answer. I just like randomly pick a few that I answer, and then it still does pretty well. Why is it not reading? Read idea.md. I already have that. I still don't think that's enough. Yep. Yeah, so now it reads it. Idea reading. Oh, error, because you need to read it in the document. So you can't find this file and try to search the file. Now it found it, and then try to read the idea document, and then say, now I have the initial idea document, let me pass the document to the agent to read it. Now it knows that we're creating a leaf management system. Let's see what questions that it comes up with. So just to give an idea what demo we're going to do, we have these. So once we have PRD, then we're going to go through the architect, basically just creating the software design document, also with agent. And then we're going to go through sprint planning. This is what I think software engineers or software team usually really hate this process, but I know it's necessary, like to plan the work for the next sprint. Okay, so you need answers for that, right? 10 key question. I mean, there's a lot of things. I don't want to answer all. I'm just going to roughly answer. Company, small, SME company, 25 staff, basic roles, don't need admin interface now. Focus on MVP. Remember, 2 weeks. Like they say, 4 weeks to launch. Don't be overly ambitious. Yep, that's it. Yeah, if you ask too many questions, I mean, if you're even in real life, like you ask your management team too many questions, you're gonna say, just do whatever you want. Like this is all the thing. Go do your research and come back with that. I don't have time for your 20 questions, right? So, yeah. So now it's gonna do that. Let's see what it comes back with, and then we're gonna go on. I hope it's enough for it to work. If you haven't tried Claude Code, give it a try. It's really amazing. Yeah, I know I've said that a lot, but it changes the whole process tremendously. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it running, and I'm gonna show you what it generates on my run when I tried it last night, right? So these are the PRD that's generated on when I tried it yesterday, so 11 hours ago last night. So came up with executive summary, problem statement, what you're trying to solve, impact. It's just like a human-generated document, right? What success criteria? Okay, yesterday I said 14 days, but no, yeah, now I said 4 weeks. Yeah, I said 14 days yesterday. Yeah, all 20 employees successfully onboarded and using the system success criteria. So it comes back already for this. Yep, so these documents, it even gets a bit technical here. But you can see it generated a different one. But I'm going to say yes, allow all edits, and then it's going to create a document. So it's a different one this time. But you can get the idea for PRD here, right? What the system should do, so these are the acceptance criteria for what defines a successful project, right? And this is great. So the next thing that you would do then is to, we're going to go back to Keynote. to architect, right? So once you have that PRD, then you want to generate all this, like what database table should I do? What stack should I be using? Should I be using JavaScript? Should I be using all of that? Yeah, so it's done now. Yep. So let's see. It's going to be a different one, but it's like yeah, it's still good, right? So user stories. You can see this is what product manager usually do. Like as an employee, how would you use the system? As a manager, you want to see pending leave requests and you want to approve or reject. And then yeah, HR can then create users and all of that. So these are the things. So for this document, which is it's usually it's gonna take at least a week to do this document by a human, right? Because you don't sit down and just code, right? You basically have to do research and all that as well. I mean, not code, but type, right? So I mean, now with AI, it's so much faster. So even for product manager, you should be using AI to just generate this and then go through them and then tweak to what works, right? So the next thing is an architect. So with architect, then again, so we're gonna hire this software architect agent, right? So right now we have who is under our systems right now. We have product manager PRD. So now we're gonna create a new agent. We're gonna say you are a software architect with 15 years of experience launching successful. So just gonna paste that. Successful web-based sites and projects. You have to read the PRD because now we have the PRD, right? Product requirements document. Ask any questions that you have, and then come up with that software design document and save it there. Again, like, okay, I'm gonna. Okay, so the reason why we're doing all of this instead of coding, it's because of this key thing in AI today, which is context. So context is everything. So you go, as a software engineer today, you should not be doing a lot of coding anymore if you use all these AI tools. You should be doing spending a lot of your time writing context, writing constraints, writing documents. Because just like in real human team, right, you need to align everyone in your team to work exactly the same way forward, right? So the same for AI agents as well. You want to spend your time writing all these documents. And you don't have to write by hand anymore. You just get the AI to guide you to write, and then you spend your time reviewing to make sure document exactly what you and your company wants to build, and then commit it, and then get it to work. Right? So we're gonna go back to the slide. So the next is architect, and then this is the output. So we're gonna go through the same dance, right? We're gonna create agent, we're gonna define the command, and then this is the architect. You even draw a diagram for you on how you could like go from client side to server side and database, the tech stack, database diagram. All of this basically just by prompting. I don't even like go through the database schema, what fields should we have. So you can basically just copy and paste this into your database, and it will just create all these fields for you. How to seed, so you need the initial admin user, so you're gonna do that, and all this API diagram is just yeah, amazing. Then the next thing, once you have the SDD and the PRD, is then to the sprint planning. You want to split all this thing into chunks of sprint cycles, works that you can do, right? So what I like to do with my AI agent, this is a trick that I use, is that in a normal sprint duration for human team, you would say sprint is about 2 weeks because of the wastage time between planning and then the reviewing part at the end. But for AI, we don't really have that. If we ask AI to do a 2-week sprint, it would then scope in the things for 2 weeks, and then it's large. When it's too large, it's really hard to review. Just like if you're reviewing code submission, you want it to be small and compact. Only does one feature and not like 10 different features, that you can't give feedback for 10 different features for a code patch, right? You want it to be small. So for AI, I like to say, planning for only half a week. Our company has a policy that the sprint is only half a week. So planning only for that. And then save the document to sprint. So this is the sprint planning that it would generate. Plan like 5 sprints on mine because I said yesterday's when I tried, I wanted to launch in like 14 days. So plan 5 sprints, and the first sprint is back end, and these are the tasks. And the key thing is acceptance criteria, right? So in order for this sprint to be accepted by the product manager or by the stakeholders, is that these things needs to be achieved within that sprint time. And then you need to generate tests and all that as well. So yeah, so this is what being generated. And then the next thing is then to say, to get the engineers to implement it. So these are the prompts that I use to hire an engineer, hire an engineer agent. Say, you are a rock star software engineer, 15 years of experience, maybe 20 years, I don't know. Depends on the tech stack I use. I like to use 15 because I think most of the things happen in the last 15 years. So you are tasked to carefully review the sprint plan and then implement the tasks that are assigned to you. And then say you have to include unit tests and you have to only do like a very specific sprint, right? And then it will then go to work. So these are all the work the engineers have done, right? So you can see like the package JSON and all that JavaScript stuff and all that. Even the README is coded by the engineer. And then what I like to do as well is that because the engineer need to communicate with the product manager that's going to review your work, right? So for AI agent, for human, we would usually write a report and then submit it or submit your pull request to say these are the works that I've done. But for agent, how do you get agent to communicate with someone that's going to review your work, right? So I like to use this trick called A to A. So I create this in my instruction. I call it once you're done, write a detailed report of what you have done and save it at doc/A to A. A to A basically agent and agent communication, and then you address it to the reviewer. So the one is going to review your work. So we don't accept the agents will right away because agent might still make mistakes, right? AI might make mistakes, and sometimes it might lose in the context because context window is limited. So it will be read by a senior technical product lead to review your work, and then the lead will then review your work and then put the feedback in this document, and then you must read it and then fix the issues. And when you're done fixing, write a report and all that. So this is a report that the engineers has done, and then this is and these are all the work that are done, So the next thing that I do is to get the reviewer to review the sprint. Right, so you can do this also in GitHub issues because the thread and all that. Right? So I like to use docs because it's just local to my system. And for review, one trick that I find, this is experience, I don't think there's science in that, is that I like to use Codex, which is from OpenAI, to review Claude's work. Codex, in my opinion, Codex is the CLI equivalent for this, for Claude Code, I think the implementation is not as good, but the review, I think it's better than Claude Code. So I use Codex to review, and this is what the reviewer said, right? So it reviewed the work done. I also specifically tell the reviewer to not fix it. So the reviewer should not be touching any of the code except just communicate with the engineers on what the issues are, what should be fixed and all that. I think because this is sprint number 1, the reviewer went through everything and said everything is good. I even said everything is good, it's been successfully completed. But usually, in more real-world scenario, there's like multiple back and forth. The engineer will do something, the reviewer say, no, that's not good, like you only done like 25% of it, there's still all these issues need to be fixed, and these are the key fixes that, just like a real human, right? And then you go back and the engineers fix it again and say, okay, this is done, I'm pretty sure it's done this time, the reviewer goes through it with it and say, no, we're still missing this part, and the security issue, and it's really good. It works super well that way. And these are basically the dance that we're doing as a software engineer. I'm going to go back to my slides. And implement and then review. I just want to talk about this thing. So we've talked about prompt engineering a lot in the past. So now it's a lot about context engineering, the rise of context engineering. It's only from June onwards that I think this term came up. But if you're in the space, you kind of like heard it so much that it felt like a year ago already. What is context engineering, right? For every AI model out there, there's a limited window on how much you can take to review things before to decide on certain action, right? So GPT 4.1 and all these latest models, they have usually about 1 million token context window, so it's huge. So you can fit in like multiple books in there, and it can figure out what's characters in there, what story arcs and all that. So like for legal case, you can put a lot of documents in there, and usually that's fine. But for software, it's easily exceeding this context window because your project files are usually really long, plus the documentation, plus all the searches that it does, and all the grep and all that. So it's easily exceeding this window. Yeah, there's also this paper that's done by ChromaDB's team. When this paper came out, me and my friends were like, finally someone acknowledged it, because we kind of like felt it already. When you feed it with too much things, even though the context window is 1 million token, you feed it with like 50% or 65% of the token, you can see that the output is not as good as when you only feed it with like 10% really, really strong context, right? So it loses focus when you have too much things to refer to. So it doesn't mean that if you have 1 million token, or you go like someday you might have 4 million token or whatever, you should feed it whatever they have, because you will lose performance when you feed it with too much things. So that's why people come up with this thing called context engineering. It's about figuring out, with all this brain space that AI model has, how much should you feed it with, right? You should feed it with only relevant stuff and not anything that you can feed it with. So with agentic AI coding, software engineering now, it's actually pretty much context engineering. The reason why I did the agents, sub-agents, and all of that is actually because when usually I would have an agent to say, go fetch for a certain documentation somewhere, and then it will go fetch it, and then it will just summarize the documentation to things that are really relevant, and then feed it back in. So you don't waste the main context window for things that really matters. Write specifications a lot, write README, write Claude, write PLD. So these are the key things that you do for software now. Gonna go through another 3 more minutes, and then we're gonna get done. And Claude Code now has this thing called /context. Actually, I haven't figured out how to actually use it fine, but you can kind of like have a peek into the brain on what the AI is thinking. So you can see how much is being like used by system prompt, how much is being used by this reference. I haven't figured out how to use it effectively yet, but it gets a peek into that. Maybe like 2 weeks later, someone might figure out the way to do that. And compact often, right? So when you have a lot of context, you want to compact it. So compact, basically the AI going through all that in the brain and then summarize it, compress it to like 10% of the space, so that you leave more space for more things to come in later on. But the thing is that these coding agents usually have an automated compact system. When you go to like 90% or 95%, then it will automatically run compact. But the tip is that don't let it run for you. Control when to compact, right? And then, like if you need done certain things you don't need anymore, you clear it, and then when to branch out. So always think about context when you use this coding agent. Context, because it's limited things that you can fit in the brain. Fit it only good things, right? And prompting is still key. Role, goal, context. What is your role? You are a software. You are a reviewer. You are this experienced person. And what's the goal? You want to review this software, eliminate the bugs, and then give it context within this scope, within this sprint, right? Tips, last few slides. I know I got prompted a lot. We're gonna get done. Because these are the key ones. So Claude Code to generate, use Claude Code. You don't have to write these things anymore. Generate commands, generate agents. You can even use /init to generate the Claude.md for you. It will go through your project files, generate for you, but make sure you review it, and review it from time to time as well, because your project grows, your need changes and all that, so review it from time to time. And start with plan mode, because it blocks the action part. It asks the AI to think first before you do. Just like human, you want it to think first before you do something, to start with plan mode. I will share my slides, so yeah. So a lot of cameras are up, and these are the like good stuff. Agent communication. So these are like the team, like how do you communicate? Usually in real world, you get into a meeting room and then discuss. So for agent to agent, they need to talk as well. So create these folders and tell them like docs, A to A, agent to agent communication. Ask them to talk to each other, basically kind of like email without an email address and all that. Check their inboxes based on roles. Do not delete, but leave a read. It's kind of like leave a trail as well, because like the things that you read is still good to add context. And keep tasks small, just like human, right? You want to keep your patches and all that really small, and not like build a whole system in 2 weeks and then you get a full patch of like 2 week stuff that you can't review, because you want the task to be really small. If you use the Claude Code, I'm sure someone laughed about this one, ultra think. It's like a special magic keyword that you ask it to think a lot. I put this in more like a joke, because 2 months ago it was a trick, like if you think like Claude is stuck, you ask it to ultra think, and then it kind of like triggered a special brain part. Yeah, it's a magic word. But I don't find it useful. I haven't used it for like 2 weeks now, something, yeah. And watch out for MCPs. It's all the hype right now. But it will overload your context. So I don't use MCPs a lot in my work. I know a lot of people use it, but make sure you watch on MCPs because it could really flood your context window, right? And I think these are the key takeaways. If you're a human software engineer with all this AI taking over your job and all that, leverage AI to learn, because now you get a better teacher than ever. Last 2 slides. Build. It's now easier than ever to build. You don't have to write build scripts anymore. And junior now, I know it's hard to find job. I hate to say it, but use this tool, special tool that you have, or special power that you have right now, and leapfrog to senior. Build side projects, put it in your portfolio, put it in your resume. So when you go to apply jobs, you can say, I built all these things. My skills are basically just like a senior now. I haven't had like all these, but I know all these things because I use it to leapfrog, right? And try to use different models and Claude Code. It's great. And it's not just code, because there's like a lot of special power in there that you can actually run it as a server. Try to give it root access if you want to, and you can even like read your emails and do all the amazing stuff and all that, right? So with that, please give us feedback. That's very welcome. Thank you. Unfortunately, no time for questions, so yeah, if there's any questions, feel free to like catch me outside. Thanks. Thank you. All right, I will share it. I will share it. I will share it. I will figure out, I'll share it, and then maybe I'll. Is there like a mailing list or something? I will probably share through Fangming. You can catch me outside. If you want slides, you can catch me outside. I will get your contact, and then I'll send you the slides. Right. I might need to like it's huge. It's huge. Yeah, I'll get your contact or whatever.